on causal reasoning. The word is causal reasoning, okay, not casual. So we are going to discuss that as part of our 2023 first semester main campus discussions on the course UGRC150. So I'm discussing this with group 3, which meets on Tuesday, and any other member that is welcome. Now we'll have Khadija read for us. Khadija, please go ahead.
Unit 9, causal reasoning, cause and effect based. It is commonplace to seek cause or causes of things: COVID-19, climate change, flooding, destroyed relationship, decline in spirituality, sour friendship, etc. Again, causal, not casual arguments are also inductive, a matter of probability, not proof or certainty.
Well done. You read it very well. So take note. The unit 9 discusses causal reasoning, which is one of the inductive arguments, inductive ways of reasoning. We saw some deductive ways of reasoning, modus ponens, modus tollens, and co. We even detected wrong ways of reasoning deductively, which we called formal fallacies, fallacy that affirms the consequent, denies the antecedent, etc. They were all deductive in unit 6. Then we came to unit 7, which discussed inductive reasoning, the I1, inductive reasoning in the sciences and everyday life, in empirical science. So we saw enumerative induction as a type in my slides, which I shared to all the students in the group, various groups. I mentioned some types of induction apart from enumerative induction. We saw that sampling is another way of reasoning inductively. You take a few, you test them, and then you use that to generalize about the whole. So if you wanted to find out how Legon students think of perching, whether it is something they accept or reject, you could do a set, print out questionnaires with some questions on it, and ask Legon students. But you won't be able to ask all Legon students. Why? Because when you say Legon students, it includes those who are yet to be born, who grow up and apply for admission to Legon, and they will get it. Okay? They are all included in that set. So Legon students is a universal generalization. Now, because you can't test everything in that, you will sample out. You take a subset to some few students. You interview them, find out what they said, and then whatever they said, you project that about the whole. So that is the method of what? Reasoning inductively by what? Sampling. You sample out. That is what is going on in Unit 8. But it will not come because we will not examine you on how to sample, the strength of a sample, and what have you. It should be representative, it should not be biased. All those discussions are there, except that it is not part of what we will examine you on. So that is a type of induction, just like enumerative induction, the one we learned in Unit 7, where you list the several instances of particular corroborative evidences. Okay, remember that. Yaya is a woman and she cheated. Ajo is a woman, she cheated. Zainab is a woman, she cheated. Mansa is also a woman, she cheated. Therefore, you conclude that all women are cheats. The more evidences you have that support, that corroborates your general conclusion, the higher the degree of likelihood. We learned that. Okay. That methodology of reasoning inductive is called enumerative. You count them, okay, to arrive at your general claim, which we call a hypothesis. Now, that method of reasoning inductively, what is induction? We learned that in Unit 6. Okay. Where even if all the premises you gave are true, it will still not necessarily lead to the conclusion. That is inductive. Then we contrasted that with deduction, where if the premises were taken to be true, it will necessarily mean that the conclusion would also be true. Okay, we did that in Unit 6. Then we came to Unit 7 to see the types of induction, enumerative. And I said Unit 8 would have looked at argument based on sampling and argument based on analogy. Okay, they are types of induction. But analogy and sampling are Unit 8. We will not examine you on that. You just know them, the types of what? Inductive arguments. They are types. So you take note of the unit 7.1, which is enumerative induction. And then what we are doing now, which is what? Causal reasoning, which Khadija just read for us. So what kind of induction is at play when we are dealing with causal reasoning? We are looking at a cause and effect based kind of reasoning. Something brought about the effect. So you assume that it is the cause. You take it to mean that it brought it about, it caused it. Now, when we are trying to diagnose the possible cause or causes of something, for example, like what caused COVID-19? What is causing the current climate changes that we are experiencing? Okay, what is the cause or causes, quote unquote, of what the flooding in Accra or in recently in one of the Arabian nations? There was flooding. It was big news because rain cry is not common there. What is the cause? What is causing the constant destroyed relationship, for example, that someone has? How do we diagnose the causes? How do we offer justification for why we say it was this that caused destroyed relations? Is it the armpit, the sister's armpit, or is the brother's Armstrong? It doesn't give. Okay, or it is spiritual marriage, and so on and so forth. When we are doing this, we are trying to reason around what possibly brought about the effect. Okay, decline in spirituality. For some time now, I think I'm not really maturing spiritually. Someone's effect is what she sees this effect, and she wants to diagnose what the possible cause. Is it Johnny Bravo that came into my life that is doing this, or it is the academic work that the tertiary institution I have entered into that is taking a lot of my time and attention, or I'm not having enough time to do some quiet time. When I'm doing this, I'm trying to reason, take note, causally. I'm trying to detect the cause of something. I'll ask you these things I'm doing. See how much talk. We do talk or we make talk. I'm talking plenty on just one slide because I'll ask you practical questions, people. You have to use the content. It's not chew, pour, pass, and forget. Theory. No, the practice matters. So this slide alone, I am using that to open out the use of the unit and to tell you alongside that this reasoning is not a deductive one. If P, then Q. P has happened, therefore Q must come. No, it's inductive, meaning that we can have premises that are all assumed to be what? True, and yet the conclusion may not necessarily follow. So we may argue to show certain possible causes, like when we get to JS Mills, certain possible cause of something. It doesn't mean that it is certainly necessarily 100% the cause. Because the reasoning is inductive. We may never know the full, absolute, true cause of something. What we can do in empirical study, remember, is induction. Induction is empirical in nature, content-based. So what we can do is to try to explain what could possibly be, given what we know. Okay, but not a certainty. We're not dealing with proofs. That happens in deduction. In induction, you are dealing with confirmations, probabilities, chances, degree of likelihood. That's what we are dealing with. And that is the first thing you must take note of. You will see that when we finish and perhaps you're asking questions, someone can say, but doc, how do we know whether it was really this thing that caused it? When you ask that question, what really caused it? We have left the frame of the empirical. We are doing what? Certainty, deduction. You can't have what, how do we know what certainly caused it? Certainty is in deduction. Remember, confirmation is not proof. So when you're talking certainty or proofs or absolutes, we are not doing induction any longer. We are doing deduction. Okay, so those were some backgrounds you had to know as a way to build you up strongly with a good foundation. Then the others will come. Very good. Khadija, go ahead with the second slide. Please go ahead.
Madam, please, I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Who can see different connotations?
I can see.
Hey, the class is very comported.
No, I can't
Why
see.
are
I
you
can't
laughing?
see.
My sister who just said I can see with a very deep voice.
I can see.
I can see.
I can see.
I can see it.
After I give you
see.
I can
permission,
see.
I come to
I can see.
let's continue.
I can see
Thank
it.
you all very much.
Can
So let me
see.
I
take
can see.
I can see.
It's okay.
it's fine.
I can
Thank you
see it.
everyone. Let's continue, okay? Let's take John
Let's
Dapa. His
take
hand is up.
John Dapa. Hand is up.
John, go ahead.
Okay, madam. Different connotations that means of word cause. Cause as proximate condition, nearest to the effect. Agent, person or entity with intention. Necessary condition must be present for the effect to occur. Sufficient condition, if present, then effect, but rather conditions can yield that effect. Individual necessary, jointly sufficient condition. If alone, necessary but together with other conditions, they become sufficient for the occurrence of the effect. Example, sunlight, water, etc. for photosynthesis to take place. Probabilistic, likelihood. Note, so far as we are dealing with empirical evidence, no effect can lay claim to only one single cause.
Well done. So far as we are dealing with empirical evidence, observation based, no effect can lay claim to only one single cause. As far as it is an empirical matter, we cannot say that as soon as we have an effect, something has happened, we must necessarily link it to only one single cause. No, sir, no, ma'am. Not when we are dealing with the empirical. That's the point. Because as for empirical matters, they are multifaceted. Okay? When you said, oh, it is because of the nature of the soil, that's why we didn't have good harvest. Someone else will plant the same seed in that same soil, but add something. Do something to the seed or check the temperature, and the seed will grow. Because it's not just about the soil, it could also be about the nature of the seed, what you've done to it, or the atmosphere. If you were doing green, how do they call it? There's an expression, if I find out, I'll get it shortly. You can even plant and get good harvest, organic planting, even in a very hot tropical environment. All you have to do is to create a scenery, an atmosphere. You create that canopy, protect it, and grow it. So you will give it that atmosphere. The seed will grow in Africa here. Maybe it is a temperate zone, fruit, but you will grow it here insofar as you create the atmosphere. So is it the soil alone? No. Is it the nature of the seed alone? No, sir. No, ma'am. You may have a good seed, a good soil. If you don't prune and manure it and water the plant, it won't yield. So far as we have good yield, you can't locate the good yield or link a good yield to only one cause. The same with childbirth. Okay, so the first point you should take note of, even before we understand the different connotations of the word cause, is to understand that if it is an empirical matter, no empirical effect can lay claim to only one single cause. When the child comes home and he or she didn't do well at school, for example, God forbid that, you don't say you don't study. Everybody study, you are not studying. Maybe the child is studying, but you're not giving the child peace at all. There's no peace. It is part of what will contribute to the welfare of the child in school. The child must eat well, have a good family background, come to school, have a good, the government must do its part. The parent must do their part. The school must do its part. The teachers, then the child herself or himself too. It's a whole combination of so many things. Okay. So when it is an empirical, we can move from, why is the church not growing? Growth is empirical. I'm talking about physical counting numbers. Why? You say, oh, because the people are not spiritual. What about where the church is located relative to the people that you are attracting? You see that maybe the people don't understand. You have gone to do evangelism. You are doing otako. All you are speaking is big, big, big brothel. In my hometown people be somewhere that they don't understand that. So I say, anybody who wants to receive God, please come forward. Come forward. You don't hear. Then someone comes and takes the microphone and say, all that in the local dialect or the language of the place. The speaker is saying that if you are here and you say, no, the kasana or okay, then you see that people will start coming for it. Because what you were saying sounded nice and you look spiritual, but did you understand? It could be a contribution to the small number that you got. Okay, the empirical output, the effect. These people they are so hard-hearted. Maybe not. Maybe the word was good. You gave to the people in the area, they did all that. But perhaps you didn't realize that there are a whole complex blend of antecedent conditions that will lead to an effect. And so you can't connect it to only one thing and think that so far as you have gone to give to the people in the area, when you come, they welcome. Maybe not. Understand that I moved from church. I can go to the home. I did a little bit of that, to the school, to the neighborhood, to the government. What should you understand? If we are dealing with an empirical matter, no effect can lay claim to only one single cause. It's a lie. It's a complex blend of them. Whichever one we pick out will be the one that, for a certain reason, we are giving. So we are going to look at the various connotations that we give to the word what cause, the various meanings. Okay, when we say cause, he caused it. So someone has fallen down, for example, and we want to know what caused it, or there's a certain. I want examples that you can easily relate to, and no, you don't have to do too much thinking about the example. The example is straightforward. Then you think to get the concept rather. So let's say grandma got a call on phone, and then after the call, you say, "Hey, my heart, my heart, my heart." Then boom, grandma, she's gone. She has died. If we want to know what caused it, the word what caused the death could be several things. When we say what caused, we could be asking several different things. Just like if I had said chair, it could mean several things. It could be the furniture we sit on. It could mean the head of an institution. It could be the person steering the affairs of a meeting, for just that meeting, so on and so forth. We learn that different connotations of a word. Okay, so we say cause, it could mean proximity. What event happened just before the effect? Something has happened. So there's a death. What happened just before the death? That is what I could be asking when I say proximate. When I say cause, I could be thinking of proximity. You see how sometimes, as soon as she entered the room, the light went off. We will say, "You two cry when you came in, the light has gone off. Then I'll buy a light to you doing, you say that. That is a certain sense of the word cause. Okay, proximate condition. That's what your friend meant, proximity. So as soon as we saw the black cat cross our car, the car hit the tree and we got into an accident. So it was the cat that caused that one. It's proximity. When she came into the room and the light went off, I've given you examples in my slide, okay, showing you how it could commit a certain fallacy. If you think of cause only in terms of proximity, what came before the other, you may be wrong. So when the grandma heard the news on phone, maybe someone else, I say, "Oh, grandma, is dead, oh, is dead, is dead, is dead." Grandma say, "Hey, hey, hey, my heart, my heart, my heart." Grandma calls and push, she's dead. The proximate cause in this sense would be what immediately happened before the grandma fell down. Okay, and that would be the cause. But it could be that she didn't die just because of the news. Maybe she has a heart condition. But we may lay the blame immediately on what? Proximity. So that is the proximate sense of the word cause. Nearest, what happened nearest to the effect? What happened just before the effect? Okay, it is temporal, it talks about the time. Then there is agent. Look on my screen at the second point. Agent, the agental cause deals with who? The person or the entity behind the action that caused it. When we say that one, when we say cause, and we mean agental. It means we are talking about the human person, or sometimes not human person, but the corporate entity, like University of Ghana can sack someone, the vice chancellor, for example, God forbid. But University of Ghana could say, so when we say University of Ghana has done this, you won't see University of Ghana standing anywhere, but it is representative of what? A human, an intentional entity. Okay, so agent is dealing with that, a human being or an entity responsible which has intention and purpose. Okay? So if the secretary gossiped about the boss, and so the CEO sacked the boss, when we ask what caused the boss's sack, and we are looking for cause as the agent behind it, it will be the secretary. Okay? But what immediately sacked him may be the gossip. So whatever the news was in the gossip. Okay, so there's what immediately caused something, the proximate cause. And then you may be asking rather about what? The agent, the entity behind. In fact, what caused the sack, if it is an agential one, we'll be looking for the person or the entity behind it. If you got that too, then quickly, these are all what different connotations, what the word cause could connote. So when you hear cause, it's not always looking for agent. Sometimes the proximity, what came just before this, could be what the person has. I say, remember chair as the object we sit on, chair as the head of an institution. When you hear chair, you have to ask which sense of the word chair are you using? Which connotation of the word chair you had in mind, and then you make progress. Necessary condition is the third one. I'll start running now. Your friend read, he says, John says, he says, that condition that must be present for the effect. Okay, take note of the must. I've italicized it. It's slanted for emphasis. When we say necessary, what necessitated the effect? In other words, what condition must be present for the effect to come? Then we will say that that condition is a necessary one. Think about it. Without that condition, the effect cannot come. That one is what we call the necessary condition. For example, I've used that throughout all the recordings. Those who are on the academic channel, you play the D1, the past ones. You see that I use that all the time. It's very straightforward and easy. If you are playing football, the FIFA football, not American football, the one that we play with our leg and run and all that, okay? The necessary condition for scoring a goal. I didn't say winning a match, scoring. That you say, yeah, go, then we start jumping around as Amaja has gone to score for us. What is that necessary condition? The full circumference of the ball must cross the line of the goalpost. It must cross it, the full circumference. It may not even hit the back of the net, no problem. But the full circumference must cross the line, the goalpost. If it doesn't, it is not a goal, you haven't scored. If you like dribble from beginning to the end, do dangbeshi, rubbish them. Do them abate. You pass like the way Pastor used to play them when in Esther and Xavier. My brother, my best friend, Messi. And Puyo was doing the defense there. This is years back when Basa was Basa. They would do your abate. This one pass to this and pass to that and pass. You are standing there as if you are not even part. The opponent didn't come to the field. They are there, but they don't play some. If you like do that till the end of the match, it won't constitute a scoring. What is necessary? Necessary condition is all I'm explaining. Look at it. What is necessary for scoring is the full circumference of the ball, not half of it, because they can clear it on the line. The full circumference must cross. Now, if you do any other thing, you foul and foul and foul. In fact, if you even go and play the ball into your own net that way, it will be a goal for the other people. So scoring is an effect. If we are looking for a necessary condition there, it is what? The full circumference crossing the ball. What does that mean when we say it is a necessary condition? That condition must be present before we can say that the effect scoring a goal has happened. How then do we distinguish necessary condition from sufficient condition? Let me use the same football. Maybe it will help before I go to the fresh fish example. The same football. Foul. When we say the referee has whistled for a foul, one of the conditions that can lead to a foul is what? Handling the ball. You are playing and then you use your hand to catch it. The ball. We are not playing volley. If you touch it, the referee will whistle and it will be a foul for the other team. It is sufficient to lead to a foul, but that is not the only condition that leads to a foul, remember. if you tackle the person roughly from behind, it will also be foul. Sometimes I even come with yellow card or red card. So handling the ball is a sufficient condition that leads to what? A foul. That only means if you handle the ball, it will lead to a foul. But that is not the only thing that leads to what? A foul. There can be other conditions that will lead to a foul. So a sufficient condition only gives you one option that will lead to the effect. As soon as that option is there, the effect will come. But when you see the effect, you cannot claim that by force that option should be there, because there can be another option that will still lead to the effect. So look at the fresh fish one. If I come home to my home and I find houseflies all over the hall, that's an effect. And I want to diagnose what could have caused that. One sufficient condition, that simply means one thing that could have led to flies in my hall, is if someone came to cut fresh fish on my designer table and didn't clean it properly, or even didn't clean at all. It will lead to flies. But if someone didn't bring fresh fish too, there can still be flies. I hope you get it, because I would have eaten mango and left the juice all over the floor and didn't wipe it. It can also bring flies. So mango juice spread on the floor is sufficient to bring flies. It's not necessary. If it is necessary, it means before you see flies, there must be mango. But it doesn't have to be so. But mango's presence can bring flies. But without mango, flies can still come if the children, I'm saying that quietly, not shouting. If the children's shoes go and pick stuff, you know what I mean? It's too early. Go and step in things outside there when they were coming home. Go and step into someone's something, or the cow's dung on the road. Sorry. And they bring it to the whole master. That one to go fit bring flies. So cow dung and the children's shoes is sufficient to bring about flies. Just as mango juice spread all over the floor is also sufficient to bring flies. Just as fresh fish cut, not cleaned up, can bring flies. So sufficiency is not necessity. If you hear bad news, it can lead to heart attack, I think. Just as too much salt intake can also lead to heart attack or pressure in the heart or something. Therefore, these are sufficient to bring about the effect. But if it is a necessary condition, it means whenever I see the effect, I have to immediately assume that the thing has, that necessary condition has already happened. That's necessity. That's why when we hear go, we know we want to take it that the full circumference of the ball has crossed it. That's why people go and contend. You see the new technology they brought. You say, but the thing didn't cross the line. And you said it is a goal. Because if it has to be a scoring, which is a goal, it has to cross the line. That's necessity. But foul, there, when you come and the referee says, and he fouls the person, you say, oh, but he didn't touch the ball. He didn't touch the ball. Maybe he didn't touch the ball, hasn't handled it, but he has tackled the person or manhandled the other people, pulled their jersey or something to expose their something. You see, those are all fouls. He hasn't touched the ball, yes, but that is not the only condition that leads to the effect. So I think you understand. That's very technical. That's why I took a lot of time to show you necessity versus sufficiency. If you write P conditional Q, and the antecedent and consequent, the antecedent is sufficient. The consequent is necessary, but that is not for use for the philosophy. When we open it out there, you see. Then the fourth one, no, the fifth one. What are we doing? Various connotations of the word cause. Individually necessary, jointly sufficient. Their name suggests what they are. If you call them individually, one, each one of them must be present for the effect to occur. Each one must. It's a must for each one of them. When you put them all together, they become enough grounds to bring the other one. They become sufficient to bring about the effect. I use the what's the name? The photosynthesis to show you that. That's what you see on the screen. Photosynthesis to show you that what? That if a plant would want to grow their own food. Plants are producers, we are consumers. Plants depend on sunlight. See on your screen, I put it down. Sunlight. They need it. Sunlight. Water. What's the other one? For green plant, they even need what? Chlorophyll. They are able to absorb that with the chlorophyll, etc. Each one of them is a need. Human beings need water, oxygen, and whatever else that you know. Their needs, their necessities, each one of them. Okay. If they all come together, then they become sufficient for what? Life. Probabilistic cause, likelihood. It's talking about the likelihood. It's also one of the connotations. That's what we learned in the empirical versus the normative. Yes. So it is not always that when you say he caused it, it means he necessarily brought it about. We might be saying he caused it because he was the agent that inspired action. If he had not been the president, you see how some people argue. You throw boiler in your own drains at the house, back of your house, or your neighbor does that. You won't correct him. When it rains and there's flooding, they say the president should do. What has he done? For this one part, I disagree with you. Okay? But you will see that ultimately you will be the agent because people will say you are the mind behind the laws. Okay? Think about it that way. Now, as for probability, it is already admitting that it might not be 100%. That's why we said in the past, people will not think of probability, proximity, agency as causal, as antecedent conditions that we'll call the cause. Every time people hear the cause of something, they are looking for the necessity most of the time. But these are all different connotations you can give to the word cause. And on that note, it takes us to 4 ways of what? Reasoning causally. It is John Stuart Mills's method, J.S. Mills. Your friend did well. Even if she had not seen the slide, she has played some recording of previous groups because I've shared that on the channel there. Or she has made an effort. You have to do that. Learn like that too, because this is the raw material. You are now going to apply it. So you must have the 4 methods, fingertips, J.S. Mills, things of what? 4 methods of reasoning causally. It is for scientific explanation. Look on my screen, please. To help us improve how we are able to explain. Explain doesn't mean you have arrived at what really caused it. Who told you I God? We are not. So if you ask me what really caused our brother Christian Achu's death, for example, there will be various perspectives, various explanations. Some may have spiritual, some may have empirical, some may say it is the way the building was, some may say you should have jumped, some may say you should have done whatever. That is what caused it. Okay? Our point is when we want to explain scientifically, empirically speaking, one that we have done science in Unit 7. Okay? The methodology. It's observation based. So the one that we can verify or confirm or test. Remember testability, yes, confirmability, falsifiability. We learned all of those. Okay. I'll take questions. Just raise your hand if it's a question. Okay. So we have done those in Unit 7 earlier. If we want to interrogate that and we want to offer explanation, scientific explanation, that is, J.S. Mills proposes these 4 methods, which are not counterintuitive at all. They are just the way we think. Grandma doesn't have to go and do science to know these methods. You and I, if we were in a room, so there we go with the first method. The method is method of agreement, method of difference, joint method of agreement and difference. And then the 4th one is concomitant variation. Big words, nothing much. Let's look at them. Look on your screen now. Let me explain J.S. Mills's method of agreement. I'll take your questions. If we were all roommates, look on my screen, please. It will help you. 4 of us are roommates. We go out to eat. When we went, each one of us took different meals. Look on my screen. So Nancy took rice, fish, fresh vegetables, and juice. Khadija took bread, porridge, granules, and cream. She was breaking her fast, so she didn't eat heavy. Okay, then who else? John also took yam, fish, sauce, and water. That's second place. Someone else amongst us also took what? Susan also took fufu, light soup, and chicken. But you will see that even though the four roommates, the four of us, took different meals, there is one thing that we all ate or we all added to our meal. I took cream in addition to my rice and fish and vegetables. Okay. John also took cream in addition to his yam, fish sauce, water. Khadija, after she broke her fast, so she took her bread, porridge, granules. She still took some cream. And then Susan too, after the fufu and light soup and chicken, she said, give me a little cream. Now, even though our meals were different, I'm explaining the method of agreement, what is common, which you don't need a doctor to even see it. You don't need any big scientific process behind. It is the way intuitively we are. So J.S. Mills is telling us that it's just the way we think. He's just what's the expression? Institutionalizing it. That's all. But it is normally that. So when you go anywhere, that's the first. Even your roommate will say, why you people when you went, what did you wear that you are all running? Look at the effect. All the four of us are having the same effect. The effect is what? All running. This running, the running there is not using your two legs to run. Because it's too early, I want to be decorous a little. But take note, look at it. We are all using the washroom. We're going with tissue. We are going there 2-3 times, like para. We come up, Charlie, we get tea there. Charlie, get tea there. Charlie, make you in a hurry. Go. Brrr. Then the next bit, hurry up, I'll be finished. It's my turn. Hurry up. Oh, Charlie, when you tell me. We are running. The other roommates, maybe 2 others who are there will tell us, why people, what did you go eat? Or what have you eaten that you are all running? Do you know what the person is doing? Hey, Daniel, go for it. So they are all trying to find out, people, what the possible common thread will be in our antecedent. Big profile, nothing much. What am I saying? The person asking that question wants to know what is common, what agrees in my food, yours, John's own, and Susan's own. They want to know, Khadija, what did you people go and eat? Then I will say, oh, but me, I ate fufu. This one said, oh, I ate yam. This one said, oh, it is not that. What else did you people eat? Because what the effect is common. That's the method of agreement. The effect is the same. Yeah, they're all running. So what is common in every food that all of you ate, so that we can check to see and start investigating from there. And you will see that in our example on the screen, we will have good reason to suspect or suspicion to suspect the cream. Doesn't mean it is the cream that really caused it. Really, there is God's language. What really caused it? It's God's language. So we may never be able to establish with certainty. That's why the reasoning is not deductive, it's inductive. Meaning all this analysis may be true, and yet the conclusion we are drawing may not necessarily be true. We may have good reason to investigate further, to search what actually about the cream, if it is the cream at all, that caused it. It may have nothing to do with the cream. I'm telling you. We may be look down there, the yellow there. We may only be confusing a correlation for what? Causal connection. We'll explain that it's a fallacy. We may be just thinking that because wherever we saw running, we saw cream. Wherever we saw running, people running, as is using the loop, we saw that they took cream. So we assume then that it is the cream that it may not be. Brothers and sisters in the Lord, the cream may not have done anything. It may just be the water that we drank. Okay, but the others who did it, will get to the method of difference shortly. It may even be the weather, the change of weather. People sit in the airplane, as soon as it takes off, they start throwing up left, right, center. They are not sick, especially those who are not used to that. Is it sickness? No. When they are like, they will go and take pictures everywhere and stop this and start disturbing us. So I did this and I did that. Dubai, Dubai. When the plane took off, did you tell them what was happening? Did you take pictures of it? You take pictures of the throw up patients. So the point we are making is it may have nothing to do with the food. It may even be just the change of weather, just the stress you went through in the morning. It may be the coffee they took in the hotel room before coming for the conference. But what we can explain, take note scientifically, is what we can detect. The scientist only discovers. So what he has uncovered, if this is the data, this is what he will work with. You can't do anything outside what you can discover. That's science. Always understand that. Breaker study is discovery. You are discovering patterns that you believe exist. So if you were a doctor, physician, they brought this issue before you. These are children of a certain school. I'm changing the scenario just to add more flesh. We suspect food poisoning. You know what happened recently with a Wache issue in Ghana, a food vendor that was accused of whatever. I don't know if the case is still in court, but you had the husband. We ate some. We ate this food. This is what we eat. We and all our people. So how can we, if we ate it, whether it is in the Wache, the cereal, or it was in is it cereal, the grain, whether it was in the grain, or it was in the shito, or it was in the chicken, we eat some. What is the person doing? Is applying these laws. He's telling you, we all ate some. So why are we not having the effect? Maybe we ate it from different plates. Could it be the plate? Maybe the person came home already has taken a purgative, and so on and so forth. That is what is at play here. So the investigator needs this. The health practitioner needs this. The mother wants to diagnose. The school management wants to know how is it that all the children from JHS, primary to whatever, senior high, ate from the canteen. And we're having that outbreak with the primary folks. They all ate from the same canteen. It can't be from the food. What are we doing? JS meals. Oh, maybe they all ate, but the JHS people drank from the big cups. The big cups, we washed them earlier. So we didn't wash them this morning. The JHS ones were the small cups. We washed them this morning. But we washed both JHS 1 and, primary 1 and primary 2. Why is it that it is only primary 2 people that we wash all of them? Well, the primary 1 cups, we wash them with the tap. When the tap stopped flowing, then we use the primary 2 one, went to fetch it from the well. And we diagnose, what we are doing is an application of osmosis method to try to explain, keep note of that. It is explanation. So that it will help us to keep searching just to see if we can arrive at what really caused it. But we may never know. That's what Hume and the others I see in the textbook, they are philosophers, they are philosophical thinkers, they are philosophizing, trying to establish or question the possibility of what or the reality of causes. So when you read or you play that discussion, play that accordingly, you see that's the debate there. Someone like Hume doesn't think we can establish, excuse me, a necessary connection between supposed cause and its effect. There isn't such a necessity. Take note. Because if I slap you right now, because I'm your lecturer, I say, oh, dog, please. Even if you are angry, your reaction will not be the same as if your fellow mate gave you a slap. You slap him back, maybe. So why is it that if it is the slap, God forbid, yeah, if it is the slap that is causing the effect of, or the insult that is causing the effect, why is it that when another person insults you, are not doing the same thing? If it is a necessity, then whenever there is an insult, it must lead to a slap. But if let me use Godfrey. If Slay Queen, it's difficult to, it's not easy. If a Slay Queen gave Godfrey a rub on his, or gave him a slap, or you say, oh, yeah, baby, give me another one. Slap me again. That's what you will say. Don't talk Godfrey. You see, but if it was your mate that gave you that slap, you tell must matter. Why? Why you do so? I don't like to, you'll be angry, but if it is the lady that you have been trying to corner and she's not angry. And you say, hey, girlfriend, give you a slap on your cheek. You say, but that means if you give me a slap, then I really enjoy it. Then I hope. You see, if it is the slap that is causing the anger, why is that when your baby gave you that slap? You are not angry. These are questions Hume is asking. If it is whenever you drop a seed into the woman in that act, holy act for married people. Then why is it that some people have been dropping the seed? They're very busy, 2-3 times. They are taking it like para. No conception. 7 years now, marriage. So Hume and other thinkers like that. So when you read the text, you see the question: is there a necessity? A necessary connection between the supposed? I say supposed now that you know antecedent, what we call the cause and the effect. Is there any necessity? Hume says he hasn't seen any. It is just the way we democratically arrange things. So we say that if you drop the seed in the soil, it will grow. But the others who have grown, drop the seeds, nothing grew. So they will come and find a reason, because of the soil. Then they do the soil fine. So the thing is not growing. Just like the woman and the husband have mentioned. Abraham and Auntie Sarah, many years, no child, no conception. Abraham too, pine. He is doing it, nothing. So that is the questioning. When it comes to what really caused something, that is at the background. That's why you don't want to go saying, my screen now, that as soon as you establish this, that wherever there was running, back to our screen, Mill's method of agreement, the people took, the person involved took the cream. Therefore, you say you have necessarily established with certainty that it is the cream that is causing them. It's not a question of necessity. It's still a question of what induction. The premises could be true, yet the conclusion false. So the causal fallacy that could be committed, we are saying that there could be an error in the way we are reasoning. Cold is that what? We may only be confusing a correlation, the fact that the two happen at the same time, wherever there was cream, there was running. And then we'll take it to mean that it is the cream that is causing the running. So we want to be minded. That's the first method I just showed. What's the method? It's just to help us explain. People take that all because our empirical study, whether from social to psycho to physics to whatever, they are all empirical in nature. When we are dealing with the definitions in those disciplines, then we can have them as what? Deduction. But their methodology is heavily empirical in nature. You observe and arrive at conclusion. So it is not a matter of certainty. A critical mind. Have that in mind. Look at how many jabs of COVID-19, whatever, that people have taken and still counting. When we took the first one, the assumption was it would take care of it. Then they said, no, we need a second top up. And the third one. Charlie, because we are still trying to find what the cause is. But the explanation helps to navigate. You see, it helps you to navigate. So now we know that it is something about the cream. You can't establish it with certainty. But it looks like wherever the cream was the effect is, they want to be careful with the cream. If it is not the cream, will we die? No. How then do we detect what that possibility, not certainty? How do we detect what that possible cause could be? We use the method. So one of them is agreement that I believe you see. What is the method? Different combinations of means, take note, but one particular thing running through. If you detect that as a grandma at home or a mommy at home, why people took different meals? Why are you all running like this? So when we were going out, uncle and neighbor gave us some of the banana in the house. The banana was ripe, so he gave us one banana each. It's a bunch. He broke some for me, broke some for me. So our meals were different. Mommy packed different meals for us because we like different things. It was cool. But when they came, they're all running. You have to find the common thread or what agrees. That's the method of agreement. So as soon as they tell you, uncle gave us banana, we're going to the car, and the uncle gave us a banana is right. So each one of us do banana. We've all eaten it. Then it is a possible place to start by the method of agreement. Okay, what's the method of difference? That one too. Look at my screen. I'll enlarge it a bit. Look at the effect. They are different. One is running, the other is not running. So you go to the antecedent conditions and see what do they have differently. So they ate the same meals. I made it very simple so that I get the concept first. Then we can increase the level of difficulty. See that? So person one took rice, wachi, ice cream, mango. Person two, rice, wachi, ice cream, but they took their dessert was fufu. can see that the person was Ashanti. I want you to laugh. That's all. Ashanti man, if you don't give him fufu after everything you give, he has not eaten. Fufu is a food. Okay? So this Fanti girl took rice, wachi, ice cream. I said, one of juice, glass compound, come out. Auntie, sister. So she took juice. Ashanti brother took everything that the sister took. But he says, me, my dessert is fufu. Put it in a sanga. They both ate and took their mango and fufu dessert. When they went back into the hotel room, the mango sister is running. The fufu brother is not running. You are looking for what is causing the running. So if we took the same combinations of meals except one, the question is what is different in the two antecedent conditions? That's why it's called a method of difference. In fact, you see that it's relevant difference. But that's when you are building on it to do flowing. Right now, what is different? Relevant or irrelevant? Who is determining what is relevant and who is not relevant? Or what is not relevant? When we are now investigating. Okay, so just so that you don't worry yourself too much. What is different? It is the mango that person two doesn't have. Someone will say, oh, but person A2 doesn't have. Well, the one who ate food didn't run. We are investigating what is possibly causing the running. That's what we are investigating. Okay, so we will suspect the mango by the method of difference. Why? That is what is different in the two people's meals. They ate everything together except the fufu and the mango. When we went home, the one who ate fufu didn't run. The one who did not eat fufu ran. We will suspect the mango by the method of difference. The joint method of difference and agreement is the third one that I projected. That one simply does the method of difference. Do that. But it compares two groups, not one person. Okay, it compares a collective. So persons 1 to 10, they all ate rice, wachi, ice cream, and added mango. They are running. All the tea room in the hotel room is finished. All of them are finished. Let's say the ladies on the team, so couples retreat, something like that. The ladies ate rice, wachi, ice cream, and they all took a glass of mango at their session. The brothers are persons 11 to 20. They also ate the same rice, wachi, and ice cream, but they said, this mango thing. I said, bring us fufu in the sanga. Sanga local, put snails and stuff on it. They ate together in that bowl. The sisters took the juice from one source. Now when they finished, the sisters are running. Persons 1 to 10. That is, I'm explaining the joint method of agreement. The brothers are not running. We can then suspect the mango. What's the difference here? It is just like the method of difference. Look on my screen. Except that for the joint method, it is a group. So within persons 1 to 10, they agree. The method of agreement is working within the group. All those who took mango are running. Wherever mango is, running is. That's a method of agreement. Do you see that? Then when you compare that group and persons 11 to 20, within the persons 11 to 22, wherever there is no mango, that is where there is the absence of mango. There is absence of running too. So you now take the two and compare. That's the difference. Within the set, it's method of agreement. When you compare the two sets, you see the difference clearly. And it is a stronger method than if you use just agreement or if you use just the difference. That's the thing. Then finally, where we have a suspected cause, we want to establish a causal connection. Okay, we want to test, is it really the mango? So for example, when you use the method of agreement earlier, up here, wherever there was mango, see, there was running. You want to test and see if this thing is not just a correlation, but there is an actual causal connection. What should you do? You can use the concomitant variation method. What does it say? Increase the mango a little, because we already suspect it. We want to see if there is a connection between the mango and the running and pala, or it is just a correlation. So we say, my sister, yesterday I took 1 glass of the juice, and I went, I think my stomach. I mean, as if my poo had become light. Today, give me 3 glasses. Let me see what happens when I go. So you take 3 glasses. That's what we mean by person 1 mango plus you added more to test. This is where there is already a suspected cause. When you use concomitant variation, you vary the antecedent to see if it will lead to a variation in the consequence, the effect. Okay, that's what you are doing. So you take 3 glasses this time. That is more mango juice. And then when you go, it's not just 3 bottles you're having. Charlie, when you finish flashing, wow, then it is coming. And I said that 3 times, morning, afternoon, evening. Ooh, you are visiting the loser consistently. It means, hey, Daniel, means the thing has increased. Okay, the level of, excuse me, it's too early, but I have to teach you to understand. So bear with me. You are now not going 3 times daily. Now it is three times daily. Just increase. Then you notice that there is a causal connection. There's something about the mango. As soon as you take more of it, perhaps it leads to what? More. Okay, and it can be inverse relation as well. Okay, it could be that when you take in the medicine or something, it reduces the attack or the allergy. So it tells you that there is a certain causal connection. The more of it may be direct relation or inverse relation. Don't worry yourself with too many mass logic. Just understand. As soon as you vary means you alter the initial. So I use the seafood example a lot. You know, people react to that a lot. Oyster, crab, those. So suppose you had it in the banku and okra stew you ate at the event. When you came home, you saw some small rashes on your skin, on your shoulders, some whitish, very nasty looking rashes, about 4 or 5 of them. The day before, you didn't have, you wore bareback, you know. There were no rashes there. In the evening, you went for the event around 6 or something. You came home 9 p.m. Morning, 6 a.m., you check your shoulder. Some nasty rash, just overnight, has come on your shoulder. Then your pharmacist says, this thing looks like an allergic reaction. But I want to check to confirm if it is that. If it is that, I have something for seafood allergies. I can give you that. But let's establish a certain causal relation. How do we do that? He says, what did you eat? I said, I eat banku and okra. But you eat banku and okra all the time. You don't have this rash. Okay, I saw the inside the soup. Oyster. There were 2 or so in the soup. He says, I suspect that. Okay, let them buy you 1 cup of adode. Come and use it to do okra and eat, and let me see what happens tomorrow. Let you go anywhere this week. He said, no, I'm on leave. I'll go next month. Okay, let's test it. See. We want to establish that it is an allergy, an allergic reaction, just like the asthmatic patient that keeps returning to the hospital with an attack. We solved it, gave you oxygen. 3 days later, you are back from your dormitory, your hall. We solved it again. The next weekend, you are back. He said, what are you people doing in your room? You are reacting to something. You see, you can still use concomitant variation to establish that. Not establish the certainty of it, to establish a causal connection. It may have nothing to do with induction. It may have nothing to do with it. So maybe it's some demons your home down. We just keep changing that. It may be the mosquito repellent. You have started using it because at home, the room is safe. There are no mosquitoes. So you don't need the repellent. You don't use it. The thing is on your skin. Every evening you put it on. Morning, the reaction is back. Attack is back. So it's not just taking plenty medicine or changing your inhaler and breathing. No. It's something, some antecedent condition. Maybe the place you live has a lot of smoke in that area. Or there is a latrine, KVIP, not properly managed. So the scent, no scent. That's why you are reacting. That's where you live. When you go and sleep in the morning, you get attacked. It may be the carpet in the study room where you are studying. It may be that. So when we do concomitant variation, we try to vary. So the oyster example back there, we say eat a whole cup, let's say, of the oyster mixed with the okra. Do it the way you did it at the party, but add more on the oyster. Let's see the effect. You go and do that, Charlie. By the next morning, your whole body, the rash spread all over. You call the pharmacy and say, the pharmacist and say, I've done it. My madam, come and see. I can't step out. My face, the little mountains on my chest, my whole body. The rash is very nasty. Come on, he says exactly. So there has to be something about the oyster that your system doesn't take. Now, I'm sending you the oyster. Don't take oyster because you react to it. That doesn't mean so until maybe that's not the oyster I'm telling you. Or it may not be everything about the oyster. It may be the water they use to wash it. Or when the oyster meets with the okra. Or maybe something like that. But so far as there is something about the oyster that you react to, it we can scientifically, that's empirically speaking, explain that don't touch oyster. They always say wear nose masks. There's something about wearing the nose mask that may aid the process. It doesn't mean that it couldn't have been the nose mask that is rather spreading it better. Further research may have told us that hey, take all the nose masks off and breathe in fresh air. We'll go and watch the one that has entered down. How do you know? Okay, that's scientific experiment. So concomitant variation simply says vary the antecedent or the suspected cause either upwards or downwards and see the effect. So change the room you are in. Tell your roommate to dry his shoe or you yourself dry your shoe outside and let's see if the attacks. Maybe the asthmatic attacks won't come against the shoe. Perhaps. So when you lie down at where the pillow is, and then people are laughing, your head goes closer to see the shoe, you move it and put it under them. You don't dry it. That's the issue. So when you sleep, by morning you have inhaled strong. That is what is causing the attack. Maybe. As we can explain it. So if you go and they check that, they might tell you, you have to move from there. You have to change this and so on and so forth. That's concomitant variation. That note, I'll pause and take questions and we'll go to the last slide, which gives you examples and then we are done. Any questions? Well done. I think the class has done well. Clap for yourselves. Okay. Very good. Very good. You know how to. I see the class now. Now we will quickly take questions that people may have. Maybe if you have there are questions, go ahead. I take it and we'll do the last slide. We are done. I think your recording is very good. We'll share it to the site to benefit other groups who may need a recorded version. Oh, my lady, if it's a question, please unmute and ask Mabel Agbenyefia. Your hand is up. If it was to read for me, then you can go ahead, unmute and read what we have on the screen. If not, may I have another reader? Quickly, Paris. Okay, Mabel is reading. Go ahead, Mabel. Let's do the causal fallacies quickly.
Causal fallacy. Errors in cause and effect reasoning. Post hoc ego propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this.
Agbenyefia. Auntie Agbenyefia. Are you saying name? Didn't we mention it? Didn't we mention Agbenyefia? Post hoc ego propter hoc. Go ahead. I'm just pulling your leg. Go ahead.
Post hoc ego propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this. If you conclude that just because something happened just before another, then it caused it. See how proximate cause would fall easily into this trap.
Very good. Let me explain that. It will help you. So there is a causal fallacy. I've already explained formal fallacy. Even in my introduction, I did that again. That is what occurred in Unit 6. Instead of affirming the antecedent, then you go and affirm the consequent. You create an error of the form. So reason. So we are looking at one. Okay. we went off slightly. We are back. Okay. So we are looking at what Mabel said. Mabel says post hoc ergo propter hoc. After this, therefore, we conclude that it is because of it. And we say that look at how easily the proximate cause will fall prey to that kind of fallacy. When you think of cause in terms of proximity, you may easily commit the post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. Look at my example here. If you can see my screen, here is it. Maybe please read the post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy that I put there.
After this, therefore, because of this. If you
put an
conclude that,
example.
Madam, please,
This
I
is-
can't see the example.
Oh, I just changed the projection. Please, who can? Can anyone see it? Raise your hand. Don't talk. If you can see it, raise your hand so that we'll help Mabel there, so that her system will recover. I put examples of causal fallacies. Who can see that? Just raise your hand. Very good. I see quite a number of them. Mabel, has it come yet?
No, please.
Oh, let someone read quickly. We'll come back to you, okay? Let me take
Okay.
Daniela. Yo, thank you so much. Daniela Ajua. Where is Daniela? Daniela Ajua Ahenafo. Daniela, read it. Let me see. Unmute and read it.
Because of this.
Thank you.
As
My
soon
dear,
as
read it.
I spanked baby Ella, Asamoah scored a penalty for Ghana. So whenever the Black Stars need to score a penalty, I would spank baby Ella.
Very good. This one really happened. I think it wasn't Ella though. It was Michael, my first child. But this actually happened. I was so stressed. Asamoah was going to Asamoah Jan, whom we know, Ghana's penalty scorer. He was going to play. We're all scared, you know. So we're all tired and I press and then, you know, was frustrated. And then one of my words, I think it was Michael, sorry, was disturbing. Said, "Oh, Mickey, can I hold my dream?" Then I gave him a span. And then I heard, "Go!" The whole Ghana started celebrating. So my conclusion is that whenever Ghana is playing and cannot score, I will take my girl's bottle and make that. You know, I mean, if you reason that it's a post hoc, Francis, it's a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. Okay, that's a good example that you don't have to work too much in your minds to remember. So take it as soon as something. We say that a lot. When I saw that grammar before going for my visa, they didn't give me a bounce. She caused it. I've not said it is true or it is not true. I don't speak to. I'm a philosopher. I reflect. I leave a lot of questions open for further reflection. It could be, but what we are saying, can we scientifically explain that? Scientifically means empirically. How do I verify that? The one I can do something about is the one I have to do something about. The one that you can't see, if you have a means of doing something and you want to catabro your way through it, that's also fine. But empirically, we need the one that you and I can factually observe and factually generalize about and research it. And so until it is subject to that, we may not be able to. So if you say when the grammar entered, no, then as soon as she saw me before I went to see Johnny Bravo rejected me. She has something to do about it. I beg. She would have to have done something that we should be able to verify. Okay. So that's post hoc ergo propter hoc. And I went to walk around a little to add something. If Mabel can see now, maybe I'll read the second one. If not, then my lady will continue. Mabel, can you see confusing cause with effect now? If you can, don't worry. Just listen to come.
Okay.
I think Mabel can see it still. If she can, then she reads. If not, let the
Madam,
person read it.
came, but
Don't worry, it's gone again. So it don't worry, it's fine. Let's
yes.
check. Don't worry. Who is reading for me, Pua? I forgot to know. Mabel's name that is still kept.
Overlooking, ignoring a common or underlying cause. My roommates both have laptops. and they both got A's in their UGRC 150. So if I want to get an A in this course, I should get a laptop as soon as possible.
Okay, you are still reading the example, which is fine. So let me just go there. Here is it. When you overlook or ignore a common underlying cause, you will commit a fallacy. We are saying that here there is a causal connection. Like the person is saying, whenever my roommates, there are two of them, both of them had laptops and they did very well in the critical thinking. They got straight A's. But look at the person's conclusion. So me too, if I want to get an A in this course, I should get a laptop as soon as possible. So if you got the laptop, like they also got, and you don't do what they did with the laptop, how would the A come? It's possible that the laptop helped them to perform better. No doubt about that. No qualms about that. But getting the laptop in itself may be what is accessible to. What about the underlying cause that you may have overlooked or ignored it? Okay, people got COVID infection and did not die because they didn't have underlying, you see, conditions that will make the COVID have that bad impact. See, the elderly, people were hypertensive, who had whatever, all those conditions they gave, could be the underlying factors that aided. So others got it, but some neem tree and one or two immune boosters here and there, a little rest, they recovered. The system fought it out. Others got it. They didn't have because they are already underlying factors. I just want to use that to show you that the fact that I've seen these two couples, they all attend that church and they have a beautiful family and home. So me too, I'm attending that church. I'm sure that I'll have a good home too. Well, you may be ignoring something else that is common to those two people you reference, just like this one. They may come attend that church, yes, but the woman may have a very humble spirit, very submissive. The man may be taking care of the home, not leaving the responsibility on the woman. You see, the people were groomed. So apart from all the messages they hear at church and the fact that they attend that church, there might be something else. That's what is on your screen, overlooking or you are ignoring something else that is common. There's a causal connection, yes, in what you see, but there are other things underneath that you may have ignored. The grandmother I started the discussion with, who received the call and died because of the bad news, may have a heart condition that has not been captured in the discussion. All we are saying is when you call them, no, you have killed them with that bad news. Well, the person who called didn't do well, but has called other people too and given them, they didn't die. They were also distressed. What kind of death news is this? Yes, but they didn't die. Grandma's womb, perhaps you are ignoring or overlooking the fact that something else, there's a certain condition underneath. So the reason why perhaps you greeted the grandma, I keep using grandmas, I love them. And she didn't respond, the landlady grandma, she didn't respond. It's not because of you, or maybe this morning the tenants haven't given her a money. She's already angry. There's an underlying factor that you haven't looked at. You are only seeing the surface of it. That fallacy can occur. It is called what? Overlooking or ignoring a factor that may be underneath. All you see is the one that reveals itself to you. Okay, so that's post hoc, ergo propter hoc, overlooking the common underlying cause. Let's do the earlier ones. That is it, confusing cause with effect. It is the cause, that's the supposed cause that brings about the effect, not the effect bringing about the cause. If you have cholera, sorry, you people, cholera, then it will lead to what? Pooing and vomiting. The pooing and vomiting is an effect of the cholera. So if you tell yourself that, me, I don't want to get cholera, so now I'm not going to poo, I'm not going to vomit for the rest of my life, I don't want trouble. Why won't you poo or vomit? I don't want to get cholera. Oh, but it is when you get the cholera that it leads to the pooing and the vomiting. It's not the vomiting and pooing that leads to cholera. But you see how the person is reasoning, confusing the cause with the effect. That is when you make it look as if it is the effect rather than brings about the cause. That is the fallacy there. There's a lot of reasoning like that. Even the COVID-19 one I projected is like that. I noticed that people infected with COVID-19 sneeze and cough a lot. So I am not going to cough or sneeze because I don't want to catch the COVID-19 infection. This is confusing what cause with effect. It's also a fallacy. We've seen what? Look at my screen. Where is it? Post hoc ergo propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this. We saw the second one, overlooking or ignoring a common underlying cause. That's the second one. The third one, non-causa pro causa. That's the Latin expression, but it's not in your textbook. I don't want to give you that. What is there, which everyone can reference objectively, is what I mean. It's confusing cause with effect. That's the third one. Then look at the fourth one, and then we have one more. We are done. Confusing a correlation for causal connection. I told you that they happen the same time. Coincidentally, doesn't mean one causes the other. Cause means it brings it about. Okay, so whenever you see cream, remember our example with the method of agreement. Wherever you see the cream, you saw the running also. So you take it to mean that it is the cream that is causing the running. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a correlation. Whenever Miles finished teaching, and this is also true, it's something that happened. As soon as she finishes teaching, the clock will strike grind. The BAM library clock. It will say grind. So she must be powerful, because she even moves the clock to strike the line. Why would it be that? That is a correlation. The two things are happening at the same time. Whenever I am taking the sharp curve at that junction, the one who calls prayer, the Muslim, there's a name I forgot to forgive me. The Muslim person that will call, the call for prayer will come from you. Will call that you should come and pray. Maybe you help me later.
Imam.
I want to thank you very much. Did you hear that? Is it the Imam that does the call? Okay, you. So he will call, everybody come and pray. So maybe because of the traffic situation, I leave early. So sometimes around 4:30, I'll get to that junction where the mosque is. And every time I get to that junction, then the Imam will call for prayer. Therefore, I can get to the junction. That makes the Imam call for prayer. Hey, Sister Nancy, that one gave you lie. That is a correlation. The two happen at the same time. It's not the Imam's calling for prayer that makes my car turn that junction, turn that curve at the junction every morning. No, it's a coincidence. I leave early. The call to prayer also comes early. Then it coincides. So it is a correlation. They are happening at the same time. Doesn't mean that. I'll ask you people, and I know you can answer too. The confusing correlation for causal connection is the fourth one. We saw confusing cause with effect, pro-causal, non-causal. We just saw post hoc ergo propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this. That's how you take. Then we saw ignoring a common underlying cause, ignoring or overlooking. Then the very last one, then I can say adios, is what? The genetic fallacy. From the word genesis, the origin of it. You say because of the source, where it is coming, its genesis in T, we should accept it. Or because of its genesis, we should reject it. Who told you? That's not the way to reason. Okay, it is a genetic fallacy, which is one of the causal fallacy. What caused it? Where did it come from? What brought it up? Where did it originate? So you accept it. And that example on the screen, that's a good job for us. Give us reasons. Don't point us to the source. Because the source may have produced negative. It can also produce positive. Tell us the value of the thing, not where it came from. When you do that, you say you are committing genetic fallacy. I am finished. Someone said, I am finished. Now, any questions? Let me drop all the hands so that I can take questions. I'll see the hands and take them, and then we can end. Well done. Very good. Today you did very well. Just that
Madam, my
I wanted
time
us
has
to
been
be chatting. I've lowered all the hands again because some raised their hands to read. So I've lowered it again. Now I'll see it. And let me end the recording. Thank you so much. I see that people are giving me online reaction. Hey, people know the online now.
Madam, thank you to
People
you
that cry is
too.
clapping. I want to end the recording, then I can take the question so that it won't be too lengthy when you are playing back. So I'm still taking questions. But go ahead, my lady.